As you might have guessed, two of the things that I love most in the world are drawing and drawing. Oh, that's one thing. And also making maps. You might have seen some of my illustrated maps. This book, Grace and Katie, is about two of those things. It's about drawing and making maps. So this book is about two twin sisters who want to do a drawing project at home, and they both have very different ways of going about it. So, Grace and Katie, written by Susanne Merritt and illustrated by me, Liz Anelli. Grace and Katie loved to draw. Grace's drawings were filled with straight lines, squares and angles, and Katie's drawings were filled with patterns, squiggles and swirls. Grace sometimes thought Katie's pictures needed to be more organised, and Katie sometimes thought that Grace's pictures needed to be more exciting. One day, Grace decided to create a map of their home. She gathered her favourite black pens and started to draw. "Can I help?" asked Katie. "No," said Grace, "I can do it myself." Her drawing would be organised and sensible, and it didn't need lots of squiggles and swirls. "Fine, I'll draw my own map," said Katie. Her drawing would be bright and exciting, and it didn't need neat squares and straight lines. Grace used her black pens to draw the walls of the building. She added doors and windows, and she named each room and added details like sinks and beds and cupboards. And this is what she drew. You can see next door neighbours over here. This is their way into the house, the lobby, and the front door leading into the hallway. And then there's Dad's room, the spare room, the shared bedroom, even the bathroom with the toilet and the sink and everything, the kitchen, the living room. Can you tell which bed belongs to which sister by the way they're drawn? She drew a fence around the building and added squares for the vegetable gardens and flower beds. She drew in the front path and the letterbox and the driveway. Grace looked at her drawing. It was organised and sensible, but there was something missing. Kate used all of her pens to draw a picture of the park opposite their home. There were swings and slides in the playground. She added green and red and yellow and pink and purple and brown for the trees and flowers. She included people playing and dogs chasing balls and a special spot for picnic lunches. Katie looked at her drawing. It was bright and exciting, but there was something missing. Grace looked at Katie's drawing. "You've forgotten the fence near the playground," said Grace. And Katie looked at Grace's drawing. "You've forgotten the flowers in the front garden," said Katie. The girls looked at each other. Katie used her pens to add details to Grace's map, and Grace used her pens to add details to Katie's map. Grace and Katie loved to draw. Grace's drawings were filled with straight lines, squares and angles. Katie's drawings were filled with patterns, squiggles and swirls. And they both thought that the best pictures were the ones they drew together. Now, if you know anything much about me, you'll know that I love illustrated maps and I like to make them. And I've made quite a few of Newcastle over the years, ones like these. So I was delighted when I got to illustrate this book, Grace and Katie, because as you might remember from when I read it to you, it's all about two girls who make an illustrated map, a plan of their home, of where they live. So it's a thing I really love to do. And this page, this is why I had them living in an apartment, because when it says one day Grace decided to create a map of her home, it was easier for her to work out what she was going to draw if she was looking down over the city where they lived. And that's really what I do in making an illustrated map. So today we're going to have a go at making an illustrated map of your own home, where you live, the inside and the outside if you've got time. And I'm going to go through some techniques of showing you how you do that. And just as a reminder, on Through the pages in the book, you'll find Grace's map that she made of the apartment where she lives with her sister and her dad and her cat. So let's get our drawing equipment out and have some drawing. So to make a plan of your home, you might want to work on squared paper if you've got any, or just white paper. It doesn't matter that much if it's not squares and straight lines like Grace loved to have in her drawing. It can also be a fantasy home, could be a castle, an alien spaceship, or you might want to make a plan of your own home where you live. It's kind of fun. I'm going to start by not drawing the outside walls. This is the plan. So this is as if, imagine somebody has taken the roof, the ceiling off your house, and you are a bird flying over. What do you see if you look down, literally a bird's eye view of your home? So you might see I have got the studio I work in. Now I'm going to use a thicker line for the outside of the building. I might even do a double line, and then what I can do here is I can make a thinner line every time I get to a window. So I'm looking down on the walls of the room that I work in, the room where I made this book, funnily enough, and it's got 2 windows, one this side, one that side, and then thin line for the walls between rooms, and then it's got double doors that open outwards. If you've ever seen architects' drawings, you'll see that they make little symbols to show windows and doors. My room has got double doors that lead into the lounge room. This is still the outside wall, but this is an inside wall. And then it's got, this room's a little bit bigger than that room and it's squarer. It's got a single door that leads into the bedroom. I'm running out of paper, help! And then there is a path that leads round to the, what do you have at the end of the path? A gate. A nice gate here. And next to the gate is our mailbox. So I've got the outside and the inside. It's very boring at the moment, isn't it? So I think I'll swap pens so you can see the different thicknesses of the line. You can use loads of colours for this, or you can just use a black pen like me. So once you've kind of got all the rooms together of your house, if you're really unsure about which room comes after which, you could actually draw all the rooms separately on a different piece of paper, cut them out, and then move them around like a jigsaw puzzle. That's another way to do this. So that I don't get confused, I'm going to write which each thing is. Hallway, bathroom. Now that's framework done. Now we need to put in some detail, and that's why we can start thinking about the patterns and shapes of things. So for example, this is a really easy one. We have a brick pattern pathway. So I could keep going, keep going, keep going. I laid these myself with the help of my niece and her boyfriend. We worked very hard and we used up all the spare bricks that were lying around outside our house. Now it looks like a path. Hallway has got just one thing in it. It's got pegs where we hang our coats. Lounge room has got lots of things. It's got a sofa. Now remember, I'm looking down on my drawing as if I were on the ceiling. Maybe I'm perched on the light, looking down on the room, so I'm looking at everything from above. You could draw them any way you like, but I find this suits the method of drawing. And as I say, if you've ever seen architects' plans, you might see those kind of symbols. If you're designing your kitchen, you might find you've done this on the computer, put all the different appliances around the room. I do also do a little bit of drawing in 3D, because then you can put stuff that's on the shelves, like a bookshelf. You can actually see all the books on the shelves. So I'm looking down from the top, and on the very top of this bookshelf there's a very old-fashioned grandfather clock. And there's the little side table, so you can actually look at it from an angle, and I can see, I can get into as much detail as I like on the side table. What would I have on my table? I would have a pot of tea. This over here is the television. That's why it's got people doing things, elephants, running, all sorts of stuff. And it's plugged in. There's the plug, there's the wall. What have we got over here? We've actually got another chair. This is a chair my husband likes to sit at and read his motorbike comics, because he's very keen on that. And then next to that, he's we can't old, me and my husband, and we go back a long time, and we actually have a proper record collection with LPs, you know, those vinyl things that you don't use anymore. There's our record collection there, there's our records. Inside my studio there's a big desk that I work up, and it's one of those stand-up sit-down desks, so it's got those funny legs and a motor on the side so that I can stand up and sit down on it. And it's got a computer, and my husband also works in the same room as me, so he's got a big desk over here, and he does have a chair. He's got one of those lovely swivel chairs that he likes to swivel around on. And there's his computer, there's his mouse, and he's very, very, very untidy, and he leaves his papers all over the place, and they get in my way, they fall on my floor. Oh, sorry, this is turning into a bit of a conversation. This is a bit of a grouch against Mario, isn't it? And there's the rubbish bin, empty, because he never throws anything in it. Bedroom, of course, we've got a bed. And remember in Grace and Katie, Grace drew her bed and her sister's bed, and she showed something about what the sisters were like just by the way she drew the bed. So hers was very, very neat, and her clothes were folded up and put away in the drawers, whereas Katie's was clothes all over the floor. I'm not saying anything about my husband, but he does have a tendency not to pick his stuff up. On this side of the room there is a big wardrobe, and then there is a chest of drawers with a mirror. I'm not very good at drawing mirrors from the top, and it's got all you could put every single thing, like your hairbrush, your makeup, your bottles of perfume, your pencil case, your toy unicorn. This might be the place where your cat lives. You might like to sit here. So spare room, this is where people come to stay when they're with us. So there's just a bed, and we leave it made up, and it's nice and neat and tidy. And there's a cupboard. And of course, the bathrooms are fun because you've got to put in the toilet. I don't know why everybody likes drawing toilets. The hand basin with the taps. And then of course all the stuff in the kitchen. We've got a fitted kitchen, so it's just a series of worktops really. I always like a kitchen where the sink looks out over the garden. So when you're doing the washing up, you can see the plants growing, and you can see who's coming up the garden path, most importantly. My goodness, you're finding out so much about me just by me drawing this map. You might want to draw a map of your house and send it to your friends and say, hey, look, this is where we live. Or how about if you asked your mum and dad, if they've got really good memories, if they could try drawing a map of the house they lived in when they were growing up. Of course, I can do all the stuff in the garden. I can do flowers and a frog pond. If you've used symbols for stuff, you might want to find a space somewhere where you could do a legend or a key which explains, so if I've made that shape, it's flowers, I could explain things like that. And you might want to tell people which direction your house sits. So where does the sun come in? So how about you draw a lovely big compass with the points of the compass, which we all know north. So here we go. I've been drawing an illustrated map of that place where I live. How about you have a go at make one yourself? Remember, use like maybe different thickness pens. You might want to add a legend and a compass and as many details of the things that are inside your house that you sit on and play with and all the rest of it. You might even want to put the people in who live there with you. Hope you have lots of fun. Bye.